Have you ever stopped to think about how a global network like Bitcoin or Ethereum actually works? I mean, there's no CEO, no central server, no single person in charge. So, how in the world can millions of people agree on anything at all? It's one of the most fascinating questions in tech today, and we're going to dive right in. And that right there is the million-dollar question. In a decentralized world, you have to assume the worst. You've got to assume that some people might be unreliable or slow or maybe even trying to cheat the system. So, how do you build something that everyone can agree is true when you can't actually trust anyone in it? This isn't some new tech problem. It's an ancient dilemma that, believe it or not, finally found its answer in the digital age. To really get how blockchains cracked this code, we need to take a step back in time. We're going to look at a famous thought experiment that involves a city, an army, and a whole lot of mistrust. Okay, picture this. You have a bunch of ancient generals, and their armies have a city completely surrounded. They need to make one simple, unified decision: attack or retreat. If they all attack together, they win. Simple. If they all retreat together, they save their army for another day. But if some attack and some retreat, it's a total disaster. Defeat for everyone. And the problems just pile up, right? Their only way to communicate is by sending messengers across enemy territory. These messengers, just like data packets on the internet, could get lost or delayed. But the real kicker? What if one of the generals is a traitor? That traitor could send a message to one general saying attack, and another message to a different general saying retreat, causing absolute chaos. The stakes couldn't be higher. And that, in a nutshell, is the Byzantine general's problem. It is the perfect metaphor for a blockchain network. You can think of the generals as the computers or nodes on the network. And those traitors, they're the bad actors, the hackers, the people trying to corrupt the system. For decades, this problem seemed pretty much unsolvable in a completely open network. Until, that is, a wild new idea came along. The first real, practical solution to this age-old problem came with Bitcoin. And it's called proof of work. It's an absolutely brilliant and totally counterintuitive idea. So how do you stop a traitorous general or a malicious computer from just spamming the network with lies? Simple. You make it costly. You make them do real, difficult, computationally expensive work just to earn the right to speak, or in the case of a blockchain, to add a new block of transactions. But here's the genius part. Once that work is done, it's super easy for everyone else to check the answer and see that it's legit. Now, this work is what we all know as mining. But what is it really? Well, you can think of it as a massive, high-speed guessing game. Computers all over the world bundle up the latest transactions, and then they just start guessing a random number. It's called a nonce. They take that number, combine it with the block's data, and create a unique code called a hash. You can think of a hash like a digital fingerprint. If that fingerprint just so happens to meet a very specific requirement, like starting with a whole bunch of zeros, bam, they found the solution, they get to add the block to the chain, and they get a reward for their effort. And to give you a sense of scale, this is a non-stop global lottery with trillions upon trillions of guesses happening every single second. For Bitcoin, the system is designed to automatically adjust the difficulty so that, on average, someone, somewhere in the world, wins this lottery about every 10 minutes. This whole process is what makes the chain so incredibly secure, because to go back and change history, you'd have to redo all of that impossibly expensive work. But, and there's always a but, right? This incredibly secure system came with two massive drawbacks that the entire industry has been trying to solve ever since. First up, energy. I mean, wow. All of those computers guessing numbers 24/7 all around the globe, it consumes an unbelievable amount of power. We're talking about 120 terawatt hours every year for the Bitcoin network alone. To put that in perspective, that's more electricity than many entire countries use. And problem number two is speed. Because of its design, Bitcoin just kinda crawls along. It can only handle about 7 transactions per second. And for a payment to be considered totally final and irreversible, you really have to wait about an hour. Now compare that to a newer chain like Solana, which can blast through over 50,000 transactions a second with finality in the blink of an eye. It's a completely different universe. So, in response to these huge challenges, the energy guzzling and the slow speeds, a new idea started to take shape, one that was designed to get the same level of security, but in a totally different way. Welcome to the world of proof of stake. So let's break this down. If proof of work's motto is, show me the work you've done with your computers, proof of stake's motto is, show me the money you've got on the line. Instead of miners with powerful computers, you have what are called validators, and they lock up or stake the network's own cryptocurrency to get a chance to create the next block. So how do you keep these validators honest? Well, it's pretty simple and pretty brutal. If you try to cheat the system, if you propose a fraudulent block, the network will automatically destroy or slash a chunk of your staked coins. It's an incredibly powerful economic incentive to play by the rules. You're not just wasting electricity if you cheat, you're losing cold, hard cash. So, does this actually work in the real world? Oh, yeah, big time. The biggest case study, of course, is Ethereum's famous switch from proof of work to proof of stake. And the result? Just look at this, a mind-boggling 99.95% drop in energy consumption. The network basically became eco-friendly overnight, proving that this model could absolutely work at a massive scale. But the story doesn't end there, not even close. The crypto space is like a giant laboratory for new ideas, and there are dozens of other ways people have come up with to solve that old Byzantine general's problem. So here's just a quick taste of some other ideas out there. You've got delegated proof of stake, DPoS, which is kind of like a digital republic. Everybody votes for a small group of delegates who run the network, which makes it super fast. Then there's proof of authority, POA, which is mostly for private chains where all the participants are known and trusted entities, like companies in a supply chain. Proof of history, which Solana uses, isn't really a consensus mechanism itself, but it's like a cryptographic clock that timestamps everything before consensus, allowing for insane speeds. And even have things like proof of space, which uses empty hard drive space instead of computer processors, a really cool low-energy take on mining. Okay, so we've got all these options, proof of work, proof of stake, this whole spectrum of alternatives. So which one wins? Which one is the best? Well, it turns out that's kind of the wrong question to be asking. This isn't a race to find one perfect solution that beats all the others. It's all about understanding trade-offs. You see, there's this idea in the space called the blockchain trilemma. It says that it's nearly impossible to be super decentralized, super secure, and super fast all at the same time. You usually have to sacrifice a little bit of one to get more of the others. Each of these mechanisms just makes a different kind of trade-off. It really all boils down to what are you trying to build? For something like DeFi, or decentralized finance, proof of stake often hits that sweet spot between good security and fast performance. For a corporate supply chain where everyone already knows each other, the raw speed of proof of authority is perfect. And for something that wants to be digital gold, a global, unstoppable store of value, well, that slow, energy-hungry, but incredibly rock-solid security of Bitcoin's proof of work, that's not a bug. For many, that's its single greatest feature. And that brings us to the big picture. We've gone from an ancient military puzzle to this incredible explosion of digital solutions. But will we eventually find that one perfect consensus mechanism to rule them all? Or is the future of this technology a diverse ecosystem, a world full of different chains using different kinds of agreement, each one perfectly tailored for its own unique job? It's a fascinating world of trade-offs, and you can be sure the evolution is far from over.